2022 regular business board meeting of the Lower Merion Board of School Directors. The board believes it is in its best interest and the best interest of the students of the district to hear comments from district residents. An opportunity will be given for public comment in person and through the chat feature, which will be read by Mr. Roos. This meeting is being video recorded with sound for public broadcast, and all participants joining via Zoom will be muted upon entry. I just wanted to start the meeting tonight. Thank you all for coming and for participating. I hope all of the parents and guardians in the district received your email from the superintendent's office regarding opportunities to get involved with the district, both the full-day kindergarten committees that are being set up. I know that the Healthy Start Times committee is reconvening, and then also there were some other ways to get involved, including the interschool council, the local HSAs in each of the schools, the Committee for Special Education, CARE, the Committee to Address Race in Education. There was a full sort of litany of opportunities, and I hope that those of you that are interested will work to and choose to get more involved in the district. Also, one thing that came up in our meeting last week that I wanted to share with everyone was discussing moving forward potentially with recording and Zooming the committee meetings. That will be a topic of conversation or one of the agenda items at next week's communications committee meeting, sort of to start that process to discuss that.
I just wanted to let everyone know Carrie Sautner is part of the meeting. She has joined us through the webinar.
Thank you, Ms. LaPera. I'm sorry that I didn't note that. And so with those two announcements, I'm going to pass the torch over to Dr. Mumine.
Thank you so much, President Klein, and welcome everyone. It's exciting that we've started a school year and students are in the buildings, and it's very exciting, lots of great energy. Our staff is very energetic, the students are very energetic, and this is going to be a great school year in the Lower Merion School District. It's appropriate, while talking about students, to announce our two student school board representatives this evening. That very excited. We have a savvy vet on the panel, and that's Emerald Emmy Wu, coming to us from Lower Merion High School. And I say a savvy vet because Emmy was here last year, so she is the expert in this area. And I am extremely excited to announce Alexandra Simmons coming from Harriton High to represent us as our school board representatives. As we talk about student voice, and you've heard a lot about this towards the end of last year and some of the work that we're embarking on this year, it is extremely important to have Emmy and Alexandra here at these meetings because we listen to them. They have a powerful voice. So thank you for your service and your leadership. Thank you so much. Just give it a minute. Also this evening, just to put out there some communication that will be forthcoming within the next couple of weeks, as the board and I, as the superintendent, we're working together to formulate goals for this school year and to finalize goals. Just to talk a little bit more about the process, the superintendent composes goals that are aligned with the school board's vision, and we finalize them, and then they go on the website for public review. That process will be completed in the near future and will be forthcoming, and we will announce when they will be readily available on the webpage. So I give a little preamble where we're going with the goals. 5 goals. And you've heard these things over and over again from last year and with more intensity in our most recent meetings. Strategic plan refresh and implementation, which will entail that we bring stakeholders in the room to look at our strategic plan all forward and refresh it and update it. It is a powerful document which really helps to guide our work, and we're going to keep it, but we're going to make it current. Secondly, something that the community has been asking, the board has been asking, the administration has been asking, and how we could come together and communicate more effectively with our stakeholders. So communication and stakeholder engagement will be goal number 2. 3 will be equity and anti-racism. And we do an admirable job of focusing on equity and anti-racism, but more specific around the work of our newly appointed DEIB director, Mrs. Shawana Coles, and how we've been talking about building coalitions of personnel throughout the district as well as student groups, and having aligned K to 12 to really have our equity and anti-racism work be as one of the paramount focuses of our school district. We have policy that supports it. This is the time to take it and to take it and accelerate it. 4, which all school districts in the Commonwealth should be looking at these areas, but I believe it's powerful for the superintendent to have in the goals in regards to achievement gaps for underrepresented students within our district. And 5, managing the grade configuration, K-4, 5, 8, 9 to 12, the reimagination of curriculum that's happening in the district as I speak on a day-to-day basis. Having it in the superintendent's goals will provide an opportunity for me and my team to provide updates in these areas. So again, that was succinct in an overview. This document, once finalized with action steps and things of that nature, will become public on our webpage, on our homepage. So thank you for your patience and thank you for your support. And you'll see in these goals, there's a lot of input from what I've heard throughout the 100-day plan, some of the challenges, concerns, and opportunities that we have as a district from the board level, the administration, the teachers, the personnel, and the community. So this is going to be a document that works side by side with the work that we're doing within the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mamine.
My pleasure.
So next, we'll move on our agenda to the committee meeting reports. I'm thrilled to welcome as well our student representatives. And Ms. Wu, if you want to be first, since you are experienced in this role.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's having a nice night. First and foremost, LM student body has been super excited about the arrival of our new principal, Dr. Johnson. Since then, we've noticed a few changes, such as the ACES acronym, which stands for Accountability, Character, Effort, and Safety. The acronym has been plastered throughout our school. And aside from that, our schedule for advisory has changed to come after set 2 rather than lunch on A-days. Fall sports and extracurriculars have also started up. Student Council is hosting their activities fair this Wednesday, and soon underclassmen will be able to get involved in all the clubs that LM has to offer. Student Council also hosted their first Spirit Week of the school year and will be hosting their full council meeting sometime this week. Along with Student Council are other clubs such as TSA, Science Olympiad, and Dogma. Players has also started up a few weeks ago and is planning on putting the show Beauty and the Beast sometime in November. Overall, it's nice to be back and to see the student body so involved in academics, athletics, and activities. We're looking forward to a great school year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wu. Ms. Simmons?
Good evening, everyone. First of all, as an introduction, let me just introduce myself. My name is Alessandra Simmons, and I am a junior at Harriton High School. I'm a part of several clubs and activities, one of them being Breathe, Breaking Racism Empowered Against the Hate Emerging, mock trial in HTC, Harriton's Theater Company. Harriton started off the school year as a return to semi-normalcy. Although torrential rain did, in fact, put an end to senior sunrise on the first Tuesday of school, it was rescheduled to Tuesday the 13th, and I think the seniors enjoyed it just as much. We had our usual grade level and counselor meetings, as well as community building meetings to acclimate ninth graders and new students to the Harriton community. Fall sports are back in full swing, and school spirit and attendance at the games are at an all-time high. We also hosted our RAM Day, our activities fair, last Friday with great success. And so that brings a start to clubs back this year. Our upcoming events are an open house on Thursday, the 22nd, where parents and guardians have the opportunity to meet our wonderful teachers. And for the first time in a long while, Harriton will be hosting a homecoming on October 29th. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you so much, Ms. Simmons. And I think it's great that we have continuity here. Ms. Wu is a senior at Lower Merion, and Ms. Simmons is a junior at Harriton. Mr. Feldman, who was our student representative from Harriton last year, was a senior and is now a freshman in college. So thank you very much for those reports. You are welcome to stay, and you are also welcome to go home. It is a,
Right.
absolutely.
Thank you, President Klein. We'll be back.
Yeah. Some people are welcome to go home. All right. Next is our September 8th Curriculum Committee meeting report from Ms. Kalish.
Thank you. The Curriculum Committee met on September 8th. We reviewed and recommended for approval the following contracts for renewal. The MCIU to deliver Title I services to qualifying non-public schools located within the district. Generation Genius, which provides digital resources and curricular supports to elementary plus fifth grade. Ms. Conciamessa negotiated that. We had that in the past for the fifth grade, and she got that to stay even though we've reconfigured what constitutes elementary. And Brain Pop for all our district elementary and middle schools. Next, we had a presentation on technology and integration district-wide. We reviewed the timeline of technology implementation in the district through to the present. We saw videos from teachers who are using various technological tools in their classroom and how it impacts their instruction. We talked about the increase in STEAM learning with tools like Makerspace, Hour of Code, First Lego League, Family STEAM Night, and STEAM Learning Summer Camps. The presenters explained the ISTE standards for digital learners and digital citizenship, and from a professional development perspective, the Bold Schools framework is implemented to evaluate the need for technology, what tools are appropriate, and if a technological tool is even needed in a specific situation. Finally, we reviewed technology as it relates to equity and access. Lastly, we had a brief update on elementary and middle level scheduling. For the K-4 specials reallocation with 6 sections, that was changed so that one section was distributed amongst the other 5 rather than mixing up all 6 sections like we'd previously discussed. And the double win time for K2 was adjusted so that the non-poll win time was designated for foundations literacy instruction. For the 5-8 interdisciplinary blocks, that was assigned without student choice to accommodate scheduling need. Students in the 7th and 8th grade were either fit into a STEM or humanities block and will be assigned to the alternate next year. I want to assure everybody, if you were in a STEM block, you still had humanities courses, they just weren't part of a block. So everybody still gets all of their core subjects. For world language students, they were either assigned their first or second choices. And at arrival, students have been assigned an arrival classroom where they can go to be between when they arrive at school and when school begins at 8:15 in the morning. The next meeting of the Curriculum Committee will be October 4th at 8:30 a.m. in this room. I just wanted to make note of that because it is a Tuesday rather than the usual Wednesday for the observance of Yom Kippur. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kalish. Next, Ms. Robinson will do the September 9th Policy Committee meeting report.
Thank you. The Policy Committee met September 9th in this room at 8:30 a.m. We had an update on procedure and also kind of mapping out where we were going during the school year. Policy and AR 302 were discussed for first reading, but will be brought back for first reading next month. Standards of conduct, policy and AR, civic engagement were discussed. There is not yet an AR for that, but Carrie Sautner will be working with, board member Carrie Sautner will be working with the students on this policy and also the AR to ensure that it gets implemented this year. Administrative Regulations 235-2, student rights and responsibilities were discussed and will be implemented. And we discussed some issues with respect to 224, care of school property, 234, restrictions on use of electronic devices, 254, student wellness, and 137, district-issued laptops, students' rights and responsibilities. They will all be brought back for next month. The next school board policy committee meeting will be on October 7th at 8:30 a.m. in this room. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. And our final committee report this evening will be Mr. Lee on the Facilities and Purchasing Committee meeting.
Thank you. This is my report of the Facilities and Purchasing Committee meeting 9:15 at 8:30 a.m. The following items were discussed by the committee and recommended for approval by the full board at tonight's business meeting. We recommended the list of district bills for approval. We recommended the following items from the purchasing report for approval. $8,986 from Goldhorn Electrical Construction for removal of electrical service to the temporary trailers that were installed to support construction of Black Rock Middle School. We recommended the following district contracts for approval. Renewals with Chadsford Alternacare for supplemental licensed nurses and personal care assistants to support student health services at rates of $70 per hour for RNs, $60 per hour for LPNs, and $35 per hour for PCAs. Brain Pop for online standards aligned educational content for elementary and middle school students for $25,308. MCIU Title I services for Title I support services for district residents attending non-public schools for $17,116. Generation Genius for online supplemental math and science curriculum for grades K to 5. The contract supports use by fifth graders in middle school buildings for $8,073. Power School for Talent Ed teacher evaluation software for $7,826. The renewal term has been shortened to align next year's renewal with the fiscal year and other Power School products. Contract addendums with the following. UKG Kronos for additional licenses and support for their workforce timekeeping application for staff that were added for Black Rock Middle School for $14,884. Right at School for license fees to use district facilities to provide childcare services for district students. Lmsb will receive $72,500 for school year 2022-23. Work orders with the following. Lumen 21 for managed Outlook Exchange server services at $2,160 per month. E+ for increased supplemental desktop technician support to assist with setup of student computers for $6,900. Image Tech for analysis of current SharePoint server environment to prepare for a migration to cloud-hosted SharePoint for $9,750. We recommended the following change orders for approval. One change order for the tennis court reconstruction at Balakinwood Middle School, resulting in an additional $7,000 credit for Lower Merion School District. Change orders related to the construction of Black Rock Middle School. 6 change orders for IMC construction. $15,869.85 for additional work at the sidewalks outside the main gym. This amount is $665.99 less than the $16,535.84 not to exceed amount approved for Construction Change Directive 0307. $9,089.22 for modifications to the theater stack partition. This amount is $7,973.96 less than the $17,063.18 not to exceed amount approved in Change Directive 03808. $25,769.23 for engineered fill required to replace poor site soil in the bus loop and roadway. $3,138.55 to relocate lights in a toilet room due to incompatibility with toilet partitions. $18,967.21 for engineered fill required to replace poor site soil in the parking lot. $332.33 for additional corian trim to conceal a gap in the stair tower. One change order from Vision Mechanical. $1,704.42 to change a downspout nozzle to stainless steel. We received an update on the construction of Black Rock Middle School. The certificate of occupancy was received for all areas except the main gym and gym restrooms, and the school opened on time. Feedback from teachers and students has been positive. There are several punch list items being worked on to ensure the building is ready for back-to-school night. The main gym continues to be unavailable due to ongoing humidity issues preventing installation of the flooring, which is causing cascading issues with gym classes and scheduling of other construction punch list items. The district received a notice of a claim from JBM Mechanical for $318,859 for costs related to project acceleration needed to recover from project schedule delays caused by delays to steel deliveries due to a COVID outbreak at the steel fabricator last year. The claim will go through a dispute resolution process. The construction project spend to date is $88,225,280 on a budget of $87,985,821. However, there are disputed claims from contractors and claims the district is pursuing against contractors that still need to be adjudicated. Total construction costs plus unresolved claims could total $89,754,559. To date, there have been $4,599,018 of change orders on the project. The largest category of change orders is related to unexpected site preparation and rock excavation at $2,182,791. Two areas of concern for the committee continue to be architect and sub-consultant omissions, which were the cause of $541,006 and $837,297 in change orders, respectively. There have been $628,546 in district-requested change orders during the project to date. A community member asked when the total project cost, including site acquisition costs, would be made available. The site acquisition costs were discussed and made public at committee and school board meetings prior to the start of the construction project and are available on board docs. Following up on a question asked at last week's Education Committee meeting, the enrollment study report is expected from MCPC in time to be presented at the November 21st school board meeting. The following items were discussed at the committee meeting, but the discussions were not concluded by the committee. First was a work order with F. Tavani and Associates for a traffic study at Penwyn Elementary related to the removal of temporary classrooms. To support the current Lower Merion Township deadline for the traffic study, the study would need to be completed by November 4th, 2022, which would coincide with expected construction work on Haverford Road by Aqua. Both the committee and Penwyn Civic support delaying the traffic study should the township move the deadline, so modified timeline language to the work order was requested and not available at the time of the committee meeting. The updated work order with new timeline language is on tonight's agenda, with a not-to-exceed cost of $12,000. Second item that was discussed but not concluded, an additional change order for IMC construction for $15,000 to delay the final surfacing of the track at Black Rock Middle School was submitted after the committee meeting and is on tonight's agenda for board consideration. Due to the delays in finalizing the main gym caused by the humidity issues, it has been necessary for the school to use the multi-purpose field encircled by the track to support school gym classes. Once the track surface is installed, access to the multi-purpose field will be limited, hamstringing the school. As a result, the construction manager is recommending delaying the track surfacing project until this coming summer after the school year ends. The $15,000 change order is a negotiated price with IMC, and work would occur during June and July 2023. There also was another recent development related to this change order that happened after it was added to the agenda just a few hours ago. Mr. Roos, could you give an update on that?
Yes, thank you. IMC notified us shortly before this meeting that they are rescinding their authorization for the $15,000 change order. However, it's still my recommendation and the administration's recommendation that you move forward with the resolution, but that it be supplemented to say that in the event that IMC doesn't reconsider and accept the $15,000, that the administration is authorized to unilaterally delay the resurfacing in accordance with the terms and conditions set forth on the change order. And when the time comes for that, for you to do your consent agenda, you can pull that out of consent agenda. I'll restate the motion, and you can vote on it separately.
Thank you. The next Facilities and Purchasing Committee meeting will be on Thursday, October 13th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m. in this room. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Next on the agenda would be the addition of additional agenda items. We don't have any this evening, so we will move on to audience recognition. At this time, we will hear public comment. If you would like to speak at tonight's meeting and have not yet signed up with Ms. LaPera, please do so now. For those of you joining via the webinar, the chat feature will now be open, and you will see a 10-minute timer appear on your screen. You can submit your comments and/or questions via the chat feature. Please be sure, both in the chat and in person, to begin with your full name and where you reside in the district in order for your comment to be shared. Just a reminder that you do need to be a district resident to make public comment. Ms. LaPera, do we have any in-person comments for tonight's meeting?
Yes, we do. Julian Brightman, then Ruth Jenkin, and then Holly Manzoni.
Good evening. My name is Julian Brightman. I live in Marion Station. I'm a Lower Marion High School alum, and my family has lived in the Lower Marion District for 50 years. I'm here to speak about Oakwell, and I understand it is historically significant, yes, but I am also interested in my health and my neighbor's health, and the potential loss that Oakwell's forest could have on that. What is the point of students playing in fields if our environment is becoming too hot for them to breathe, let alone exercise, due to, among other things, the loss of cooling and carbon-eating forest? Can we not share existing fields with other schools like Villanova or Radnor? If the former owner of Oakwell was asked by Lower Marion Township to place several $1,000s in escrow in case historic trees were damaged during the building of a pool house, why does the Lower Marion School District not wish to abide by similar concerns? I believe that this proposed plan with Oakwell is environmentally degrading. To help revitalize millions of acres of burned and damaged forest across the American West, the United States Department of Agriculture aims to plant more than 1 billion trees over the next decade. Can we not make Oakwell part of every student's biology studies? It would be wonderful to have this in the field experience to complement their STEM work. Please save this existing forest for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Good evening. I'm Ruth Jenkin. I live in Wynwood. I'm going to speak. I have 3 items that I would like to cover tonight, and the first one is full-day kindergarten. And there are several members on the board who campaigned on full-day kindergarten, and I have yet to hear from any of them about their position or what they're doing, but it did take a groundswell of local community people to get some action going. My second comment is on committees. Every time I see a committee posted up on this board, I see a lot of the same names. I see staff being shuffled around on committees. And even during our equity meeting on Zoom, by the time everyone gets finished speaking and we break out into rooms, there's no time for us to commit to give our information or our ideas. We have 1 or 2 minutes left. I would like to see more outside input into the committees. And the last one has to do with the taking down of the trees in Oakwell to play ball. And, you know, there is such a concern for the environment, not only for the trees on Oakwell, but for the night sky on Lower Merion with the proposed lighting. And we're teaching our children that they can destroy lands and they can destroy forests, and it has no consequence for them, so they can play ball. I think that our statement here in front of Lower Merion says, "Go forth to serve," but I think that most of this is very self-serving. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins.
Good evening, I'm Holly Manzoni of Wynwood. For months, you've been hearing about issues with Oakwell, and I think you're all aware of the environmental consequences and a lot of different issues over the need for it, the cost and all that. And I don't understand why you're still proceeding with this. I'm very puzzled by this. As you know, I think about this a lot and I talk to you about it a lot. And then it occurred to me that maybe you haven't seen it, that you can't really appreciate that Oakwell is not just a forest with 500 trees. Oakwell is a very, very special place. There's a Philly film office that has it listed as a potential film location because it's so beautiful and special. Part of what makes it special is the landscape design, which was done by Frederick Law Olmsted. I think for most people, who's that? That was 100 years ago. Nobody knows who Frederick Law Olmsted is. Frederick Law Olmsted is the very, very prominent landscape architect who designed the gardens at the Biltmore Estate. I find it interesting that people will pay $55 to go to Biltmore and look at their grounds. It doesn't get you in the house. $55 to look at the work of Frederick Law Olmsted. And you guys want to tear it down here. And it just seems that something's not right. Maybe it's because the whole way this acquisition of Oakwell came about, it was in a hurry. And I understand your needs at the time. But I believe that haste makes waste, and that maybe if you knew about Oakwell now, the issues with wetlands, the magnificent gardens and things like that, maybe this wouldn't have happened in the first place. And I'd just like to say that it's okay to change your mind. It's not something you have to go ahead with. I don't think there's a real need for school use of those fields. And I think that the public would be, quite content with the change of course in this matter. You can find playing fields in a lot of places, but you can't replace a magnificent estate like Oakwell. Thank you for considering.
Thank you, Ms. Manzoni.
That's it for the in-person comments.
Thank you, Ms. LaPera. Mr. Roos, can you begin to share the comments shared in chat?
Yes.
People can continue inputting their comments.
Okay. Jessica Zimmerman, Narberth. Many Lower Merion School District classrooms need portable HEPA air cleaners or Corsi Rosenthal air cleaners because their ACH is less than 6. And so they need the increased filtration provided by these portable air cleaners in order to increase the effective ACH to at least 6, the higher the better. The updated recommendation for ACH is at least 6, not 5. 5 is an old number from 2020. ASHRAE, spelled A-S-H-R-A-E, and the World Health Organization now recommend ACH of at least 6 in the schools, and they state that this number should be confirmed, i.e. measured, not assumed by manufacturer specs. Therefore, many classrooms in LMSD need portable HEPA air cleaners or Corsi Rosenthal air cleaners. Why is LMSD not doing this? Next comment, Danielle Joyce Villanova. First, I'd like to commend the district on an amazing start to the school year. Our family is so excited to finally be a part of LMSD as our oldest daughter began 3rd grade at Gladwin this year after moving from Florida. We also look forward to evaluating FDK as our youngest will enter LMSD in 2024. full-day kindergarten, as our youngest will enter LMSD in 2024, and we know how important this is to the well-being of our youngest learners as well as our working families. So thank you for engaging and taking the steps towards full-day kindergarten. I'd also like to ask where the district stands in regards to Oakwell. As a community, we are hopeful that district is taking into consideration alternatives to its original plan to help preserve this historic ecological site. It is crucial that we as a community preserve this site. Next is Isabel Melvin Winwood. I'm a member of Climate Action Lower Merion, CALM. For future planning, is there a plan to reduce the carbon and asphalt footprint? For instance, has the district considered providing a shuttle loop so that the teachers, even students, could take advantage of public transportation, thereby reducing emissions, freeing up roads, and minimizing parking needs? On the main line, we have tremendous opportunities. For example, Waverly Heights Retirement runs a shuttle bus from 2 different train locations, 100 on Haverford Road and Suburban Square R5, to transport their employees to and from Gladwin. Also, Radnor Corporate Center and Haverford College and others have shuttles to pick up their employees and students. How about partnering with neighboring places of worship or other spaces to utilize parking lots that are otherwise unused during the school day? Students and teachers could use Park and Ride the shuttle to school and back. Katie Duboff, Ardmore. I was pleased to see the request for volunteers for the full-day kindergarten committee in the superintendent email from last week. What are the next steps? What is the deadline to apply? When will people be selected and notified? When can we expect the first meeting to be scheduled? Thank you for your collaboration on this important topic. Jill Altschuler, Marion Station. Good evening, everyone. On June 1st, I sent an email to community comments to inquire if the board would be submitting any proposals for the Pennsylvania School Board Association 2023 legislative platform. I received a response from Ms. Buckman providing the names of the board members of the legislative committee and that they would be the ones to discuss and recommend action to the full board on legislative matters. Although all emails submitted to community comments are said to be shared with the board, I sent an additional email to the members of the legislative committee on July 23rd and still have not heard back. Although the deadline for proposal submission has passed, if you could please answer my question tonight, I would appreciate it. If you did submit proposals, could you share what they are? Next is Ed Guazda, Karen Nielsen, Bryn Mawr, Rosemont. Please register our opposition to the conversion of the Oakwell property to playing fields. Oakwell is a Lower Merion treasure in terms of its natural diversity, majestic trees, and wildlife. It is irreplaceable. Where are the animals going to go? Yes, it does matter. Once destroyed, we will never get this green space back. You can't recreate it, ever. Please use a space that has already been deforested if we absolutely need fields or use existing fields. Preserve our township's treasures. Miriam Vinci, Balakinwood. I am interested in learning more about the timeline for the committee for full-day kindergarten. When can we expect to hear back if we've been selected to be parent participant on the committee? I'm very happy to see movement with regards to figuring out how to make full-day kindergarten a reality in LMSD. Deborah Lonsdorf, Narberth. I'm increasingly concerned that the Lower Merion School Board is not responding to the public outcry against $20 million of taxpayer money to be spent clear-cutting Oakwell, a 13.4-acre old-growth forest, and destroying historic buildings for playing fields in Villanova. The Cervatory is a migratory bird route, an owl nesting place, and bald eagle resting place, and supports countless species' need to balance the ecosystem. When we weigh the two, where does the greater value lie? Once it is destroyed, neighbors downstream will suffer. The environment will suffer the loss of water and CO2 sequestration and serious habitat loss for animals, birds, and insects. We all know climate change is now in crisis mode. We cannot destroy this important green space and architectural treasure for playing fields that can go elsewhere. We as a community need to share resources and take responsibility for our impact on the climate. The time is gone when we can disregard the environment. We need to support and sustain us. This property was formerly purchased without appropriate due diligence. It can be sold and the school board can go back to the creative drawing board. Allison Burnett, Marion Station. Can you please say more about the formation of the full-day? Did I read this one already? She's asking the same questions. Can you please say more about the formation of the full-day kindergarten committee? When do the applicants due? When do applicants find out if they are selected? What will be the goals of the committee? And specifically, what is the purpose of the survey they will design? And who is the target audience of the survey? What do you hope to learn from the survey that can't be answered from the demographic study that is being carried out? Sarah Peveroff-Shue, Bella Kenwood. I wish to provide comment on Lower Merion School District's proposed development at the property known as Oakwell. I feel that this development is fundamentally at odds with good education, with responsible stewardship of the environment, and with modeling transparent and honest communications between taxpaying residents and public institutions. The level of ecological destruction proposed by the school district would be unprecedented in terms of loss of carbon sequestration, loss of native habitat, and loss of historic resources that contribute to making our township special. As a parent of students who went through Lmsb from K to 12, at no point would my children have taken advantage of these proposed fields. Oakwell cannot be replaced once destroyed. Please do the right thing and look elsewhere for fields, or consider that our children might benefit more from learning about nature, learning about history, and the climate change crisis. And that concludes the chat comments.
And thank you very much, Mr. Roos.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Would like to move to Dr. McGloin to provide an update on the timeline for the full-day kindergarten work.
Yes, thank you. So I think we have about 38 applications so far today, and 10 of our employees that also applied to be on the committee, because the committee will be comprised of not only parents in the district, but also employees and administrators. So on Friday was when we sent out the survey. We're anticipating that staying open for about a week. We wanted to get enough responses in and then review all the responses. 2 to 3 people from each of our schools or elementary schools will be chosen, possibly some other people on top of that once we look at all the applications. But we don't want an enormous committee because it is a working group, and when you have too many people, it's very hard to manage that. So our first meeting, we're targeting probably the second week of October is when we think we'll have our first meeting. And during that time, the goal will be to really talk about the survey. We've had a lot of conversations internally, but we want input from the committee on the development of that survey and what we could potentially be asking, including, are there ways to talk to preschool parents that may be different than the normal lines of communication? That might be something that we're considering even when we're talking about how the survey is going to be distributed. So that is part of the work of the committee. That's the beginning work of the committee. Then we'll be looking at all of the operational issues that we need to face from the district, and take a look around the district, do some site visits to the schools so we can have an understanding of what it looks like for the classrooms. And that's our initial plan at this point in time. The committee, we're intending it to meet about once a month at this point, and so hopefully that first meeting in October will then become a monthly meeting with our group.
Thank you so much, Dr. McGloin. Also, I know when I opened the meeting, I spoke of the superintendent's goals. I want to provide some points of clarification. In the superintendent's goals, these are the superintendent's goals, whereas they're not school board approved. They are communicated with the school board in alignment with the work that's being done within the school district. Part 2 of those goals are standard objectives coming from the PSBA, PASA, Pennsylvania Association of Superintendents Association, where these are goals that are part of all superintendents' evaluations and throughout the Commonwealth. So those are pretty standard. I want to make sure that I communicated the difference in the 2 tiers or the 2 areas within the superintendent's goals. Again, when there is final agreement upon these goals, we will post them publicly online.
Thank you, Dr. Mamine. I wanted to address the Legislative Committee and just share that Dr. Mamine and I and the two co-chairs of the Legislative Committee met early, middle of last week to discuss and sort of lay out, to lay out the plan for the year and perhaps several years around legislative activities and advocacy. So that work is starting and going on in terms of what that would look like and who we can partner with within our own community around that. And also, I think I shared this at a previous meeting. I just wanted to note that those, that when the PSBA, the Pennsylvania School Board Association, put out a list of legislative goals. The way that it was set up within PSBA was that school board members individually, not as a school board, but individual school board members could then rank and rate what they considered of PSBA's listed goals, which ones that they thought were most important. So it wasn't designed so that school boards would submit legislative goals. It was designed so that individual school board members would identify and rank sort of the goals that legislative goals that they individually thought were most important. So I just wanted to clarify that again. I know that I mentioned that at a previous meeting. Terrific. Well, thank you, Mr. Roos, for sharing all of those comments, and Dr. Mamine for some follow-up. Next, we will move to the agenda piece of paying our bills of this meeting. But first, I do, before we have a consent agenda, I want to pull out the IMC construction change order that was discussed earlier. Mr. Roos, can you describe that again, please?
Yes, this is agenda item 12J under facilities. The reason this needs to be pulled out is because, as we stated, recommending there be a change to this resolution. So I will, if you'd like, I can read it now. You can get the motion and take care of it.
That would be great. Thank you.
It is, the administration recommends that the board approve the attached change order for Black Rock Middle School construction for IMC, change order number 03-69 for an increase in the amount of $15,000 and an extension of time to not later than July 31st, 2023 for the installation of the track surface per the change order attached to the agenda, or in the alternative, that the district administration be authorized by the board to unilaterally implement the delay in the, or to direct IMC to delay the resurfacing of the track in accordance with the terms and conditions that are actually set forth in the change order.
Thank you, Mr. Roos. Do I have a motion to approve the change order?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Now do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda via consent?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion passes. So now do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Great. Mr. Roos, can you please give us a report on the Sunshine Act?
Yes, the board did meet in an information session for professional development on August 20th. I'm advised no deliberations took place, so it does not actually count as an executive session. There was an executive session prior to tonight's meeting regarding personnel matters, also regarding the change order, which we just discussed regarding IMC. And the board was also update on the status of the approval of the Arthur Walk versus Lower Merion School District Settlement Agreement, Court of Common Pleas number 2016-01839. That court hearing for approval on settlement will be October 18th.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roos. Upcoming board meeting dates, which are held at 8 p.m. here at the District Administration Office Boardroom. October 10th is the Education Committee and Supplementary Regular Board Meeting. Just as a reminder, that meeting is generally a recap or a representation of the presentations that are discussed at the monthly curriculum committee meetings. And then the next full regular business board meeting will be on Monday, October 17th. All committee meetings are generally held in this room and live stream beginning at 8:30 a.m. unless otherwise noted, which I will start with an otherwise noted. Next Wednesday, September 29th, is the Communications Committee meeting at 7 p.m. On Tuesday, October 4th, is the Curriculum Committee meeting. Again, as Ms. Kalish noted earlier, that is on a Tuesday rather than a Wednesday in observance of Yom Kippur. The next Policy Committee meeting is Friday, October 7th. The next Facilities and Purchasing Committee meeting is Thursday, October 13th, and Wednesday, October 26th will be the Ad hoc for Equity and Anti-Racism Committee meeting at 7 p.m. There being, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, it is Wednesday, September 28th for the communications.
Sorry.
At 7 p.m.
Yep, it is Wednesday, September 28th. Thank you for catching that. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for joining us.